Hey there, I'm Vince Sims, and thanks for joining us for this NBC5 Community Conversations. Today we are talking things theater and a great performance that's going to be coming up that you may want to check out. We're joined by Becky McDonald. Thanks so much for being with us.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
We're happy to have you here. We're excited to have you here. So just first of all, go ahead, introduce yourself and tell us who you're with.
Okay. Well, as you've said, my name is Becky McDonald. I am directing The Sum of Us Band Book One Act Play Festival at Bishop Arts Theater Center.
And when is this going to be?
Oh, we go up February 29th, and it will be a good 2 or 3 week run. There are performances every weekend, and we would love it if people came out to see it.
All right. Let's start off first talking about the Bishop Arts Theater Center. What is this for people that may not be familiar with it?
Well, Bishop Art has celebrated its 30-year anniversary in 2023. So it has been in operation for 30 years under the helm of Teresa Coleman Wash, who is the executive artistic director. It is truly a theater that is dedicated to local playwrights, to giving a voice to those who maybe don't feel like they have a voice, and constantly producing new works with an eye towards the future. What new works might be happening, how do we involve our community? So they don't just do theater, they have educational classes in theater, in dance, in music, and they have a really big thriving jazz series, oftentimes in tandem. So you might see a show happening in their theater, and then elsewhere they have a jazz series going on as well. So they really are trying to do their best to serve the community around them in what might interest them. What can their community learn from coming to see a show there or from watching a jazz series? And honestly, for me, for the past 10 years, it feels like home. The first show I directed there was Black at the Assassination, which looked at the black community in DFW at the time of JFK's assassination. And then they called me back in 5 years later to direct The Champion, which is a Nina Simone biopic. And I thought, oh, maybe I didn't do well enough. Maybe I ought to take a break. Nope, she calls me back in this season. And this season was a season of co-directing The Tragedy of Othello, and then immediately jumping into sound design for Black Nativity, which is their yearly Christmas show. And then taking on this Band Book Festival.
Why is it so important to have a center like this operating and doing what they do?
Every community needs a fine arts home. Every city across America needs a place where they can go and experience something that isn't easily earned by watching TV or listening to a DVD or listening to radio or something like that. It helps to see something on stage. And sometimes those are stories that we don't hear at the movies, that we don't see at Netflix at home. And that is incredibly important. And honestly, for actors and for all of us who are coming in to put on these performances, that keeps us tied to the community. You always will know what people need, what their viewpoints are when you are doing something live, because they will tell you in no uncertain terms. You will hear how they feel about what they're seeing on stage. And oftentimes it creates really big conversations that maybe wouldn't have happened if they had just turned on a movie. They go to a movie theater where you can't really talk, you can't interact with everybody, and you can't talk to the actor who you just saw on screen to find out how they felt. So it's a little bit of one hand washes the other, and this is so important to have.
Let's talk about the festival, the performances that you're directing here, the Band Book Festival. Tell us more about what this is.
So we have 6 plays from 6 brilliant local playwrights, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. The work of some of these, I just went, wow. I've been doing theater for 36 years, and I'm seeing work that just makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up because it's so well thought out and expertly crafted. But all 6 of these plays are inspired by Heather McGhee's book, The Sum of Us, which deals with the pains that come with discrimination, racial bias, and racism. But not so much focusing just on that, but how we benefit as a community when we all decide to step in together. Racism harms everybody. It's not just one group. It harms our society as a whole. And yes, we need to acknowledge it, but if we stay mired in that instead of thinking of the solutions and thinking of the ways that we can come together, that's the win, is how when we work collectively, We all benefit. And so I love the fact that, number one, Heather McGhee wrote this book. If you haven't read it, please read it. It's such a great read. But that these plays have been so inspired by it. There are things in the book that I didn't know happened, and I like to consider myself somebody who stays in on the know of everything happening all the time and politics and whatnot, right? But small instances that are in the book that you go, oh, well, I didn't know this group of people maybe dealt with that. Do I know somebody who's dealt with that? Have I dealt with that? And I just didn't recognize it for what it was. And then how do we work to solve that? There's a situation that is brought up in the book regarding predatory lending and redlining. And yes, we know about redlining, right? But when you frame it in a way of, hey, this is something that just recently happened. Oh, and when I read it, I thought, well, I don't know. Do I know of anybody who's been dealing with predatory lending? Well, yeah, I did. I had members of my family who were like, Becky, that happened to me. Oh, you didn't know, I didn't tell you, but this and this and this happened. I went, oh. So those instances immediately makes you think, well, if it's happened to me or somebody I know, it's happened to somebody else. And it's happened to somebody else. So now we can all talk about what are ways to fix this. I won't be naive and say, yes, one book and one festival will change everything. It's all better now. No. But hopefully with this festival, hopefully this book will cause people to think. Maybe they come to see it and they take a step back and they go, oh, all right. Or I don't have the answers. Can somebody help me? Sure. The most important thing is coming into it with an open heart and an open mind. And we've started doing that in rehearsals. From the first rehearsal, every actor who's come through that door has had an instance where they've said, this has affected me. And so then we stop rehearsal and we talk about it. And we listen to one another. That is one of my first rules of rehearsal, is that we are respectful to one another and we listen. And man, it changes the energy in the room. It almost feels like sparks, you know? People from different backgrounds, different cultures, different races, different orientations, honestly listening to one another and going, oh, yeah, I'm here for you. I hear that. And if this is just one small, tiny microcosm of the community, imagine what can happen when that opens up. What happens if we all approach things with a sense of love and grace? Wow. And so that's what's happening. That's something you can pull from the book, and I hope that's something that people feel when they see the show.
This is coming from the book, and the author is going to be in for a night of this to have discussions, because you said talking about it is so important. So tell us about the author.
Heather McGhee will be coming in. I believe she's coming in the last weekend of the show. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't equal parts excited and nervous. I'm terrified in the best way, because I want her, I so appreciate her work, and that I want her to appreciate the experience of seeing the show and seeing how each one of these 6 playwrights have tied something in directly into her book. I really hope that when she sees it, that she feels that she has...
As moved as you are by
yes,
it, because we can see your passion with it.
Yes, I truly hope that she looks at it and goes, I think at the end of the day, all of us wish that we could put something into the world that changes the world for the better. And so I hope when she sees the festival, she thinks, I did that. If she hasn't already thought that about her book, I hope that she feels that when she leaves.
And then you said about being able to have those conversations, to be able to have the conversations with the author. I mean, the book is the book. These plays are giving a glimpse into it, but then to bring all this together and be able to have that conversation afterwards.
Oh my gosh, I want to pick her brains and say, how long was this research for you? Like, what was that feeling for you as you are compiling all of this information and really the thought process into it? Because some of it isn't easy. It's not easy to look at racial bias, whether you are the one who is biased or you are the one who is on the receiving end of it. None of it is easy and none of it feels comfortable. So I want to know, what is that process like for her to compile all this and say, here world, please read this. Please, let's hope this changes, you know.
Give me an idea of what the night is like at the festival. How does it run? How does it operate? You know, what I'd experience if I came and...
Well, the first thing, you walk through the door and you will get a friendly hello at Bishop Arts. There's always somebody there who welcomes some. It feels like home when you walk in. They make it so very comfortable when you walk in the door. They'll lead you into the auditorium, and from there you have 80 to 90 minutes of a show with no intermission, each played one right after the other, one right after the other. And when it's all said and done, we will have a talk back after it. So we want to hear the community's thoughts. And I want to hear it even if it's someone saying, I hated it. Tell me why. Tell me why. What resonated with you that had that strong feeling? If you love it, tell me why. I want to know all of it. I want to know everybody's thoughts about this, because once again, a good conversation means that change can be made.
Everybody will experience this differently and leave away with some different way in it. But what do you most want people who watch this and experience this to leave away with afterwards?
I would like for them to leave with a sense that it's time to participate in their community more than ever. And that can be something as small as maybe they volunteer, maybe they speak up for a neighbor, but also something larger. Maybe it inspires them to become active, more active in their community. Maybe it inspires them to see more theater. I would like for a fire to be lit, even if it's a small spark.
Sounds amazing. Love your passion for it. If people want to find out more about this and to, check it out, how do they go about doing it?
Well, you can email bishopartstheater.org. You're also welcome to search it in Instagram. Look for Bishop Arts. They will have a whole Instagram. I believe they also have a Bishop Arts TikTok as well. But we are here. We are not going anywhere for a very long time.
All right. This is so awesome. Becky McDonald, thank you so much for sharing this with us. The Banned Book Festival that you're directing, and we look forward to checking it out.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome, and thank you for joining us for this NBC5 Community Conversations. I'm Vince Sims. We'll see you next time.